the best thing. Like my first week was Log4j. And I was on the application security.
You had a lot of fun.
Team. I was the only team member hired. Like it was my hiring manager who was in Foster City, California. And it was me in Austin during Log4j.
Yeah, you had fun. And see, I was working and I had just gotten into finance when Log4j happened, but they kept me on the sidelines. So I was doing incident management at the time. So I was mad because I want to like put me in, because another reason why I like the blue team, when I play football, defense. I love playing defense because I know I can stop you from scoring and I can score too. So I like that because it's aggressive in nature. But
I think I immediately, like I'm always like, I need to see under the rug, because as it started out, right, as a defensive operation for me, my tasks are defensive, or just sitting on that bridge and just hearing every single thing that we were doing to stop the bleeding. Then it became really quickly almost immediately about how deeply are we impacted, and to understand how deeply in what ways and what products are or are not impacted. You have to look backwards into the design, into the architecture. Then you're getting into, before even bill of materials, you're getting into the supply chain and the enterprise ecosystem, and you're like, this is deep, like it's so deep, and so I became intrigued with that, and the deeper I went, I was like, well, it has to start at the beginning, right? It has to start at product conceptualization. You have to have a defensive design perspective, even if you will. You have to assume that these things are going to happen, right? And so you have to make the product like that from the jump. And we just know that that's not how.
It's the last thing in mind.
Last thing in mind.
A lot of times in interviews, I've always said, like, you kind of got to assume like you already been like compromised some type of way.
You have to, because you have.
Yeah, and you just never know. They might just haven't made their move yet, but no, I mean, and also the good thing too about like if you do an IR or something like that, and it's big incidents, you start getting to see all the heads of all the different. Oh,
baby, I cleaned I'm not going to claim that I'm annoying, but it probably appeared to be annoying to some who didn't get tapped on their shoulder by me, because if I sit on a bridge with you and you're kicking ass and it's my first week, I immediately am emailing you, hey, I just need 15. I will find 15 minutes on somebody that is located in the UK. I don't care. I was on everybody's top. Yeah. And one thing that I benefited from, like, yes, it was a frying pan into the fire situation, but because I was the only one on that team, my manager at the time was a senior director. So I'm on a bridge with the CTO and the CISO. Everybody that I'm reaching out
to
immediately, because if I know nothing else, I could know nothing about what you're talking about. I'm a great question asker. So I'm good at seeing the gap, the in-between that's not being answered, and the failure points of what has already happened. So I got the opportunity to put together our point of view documentation, which would have had a regulatory audience to say, what did we do when this happened? In totality as a cybersecurity.
Yeah. And so this is, and we'll actually talk about some technical things in a second, but this is when I start talking to the people about all those non-technical transferable skills that you can use. Because believe it or not, like you're talking about communication, those people, those C-levels, those directors, when these incidents popping up, they want to see that summary of what's going on. How are we impacted? What are we doing? How big is it? And it needs to be written in a way, like you said, that makes sense, that sounds good.
Yeah. Even the wherewithal to know, or to have the confidence or gumption to know when to schedule a meeting to discuss it, when not to, when to send an email, how to present that information, who should be involved, who shouldn't. I had someone use my communication skills as a negative when referring to me. And that was probably one of the best things that happened to me when I started my technical career, because it made me confronted. And at first I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I am technical. I have done this. I have done that. I deserve to be here. And while I did, it took me a minute to be like, oh, wow, like, your superpower is your superpower. And how can any information or knowledge be transferred without communication? I'll wait. And then I thought about it again. I'm like, well, if it's something that you all can't do, admittedly, why would I be ashamed to have that skill, regardless of their intent? Yeah. If you can't do it, right, And anybody can pick up a application documentation and figure it out, especially now with chat and all of these tools, and help from somebody else. What's very difficult to do is teach an adult how to be a comfortable communicator, non-verbally and verbally, in an enterprise level communications at that level of substance.
Yeah, I see it all the time. I see the people, and believe it or not, this has helped me very much do that.
I believe that, yeah.
If I have to brief something or get my thoughts together and not saying a lot of ums and ums and your nose, like knowing what I wrote and saying it, it's fine. Or even the times where, the good thing is if I'm typing up an incident, I'm typically letting, my manager see it, like, what you think?
QA is good for you.
He's like, yeah, it sounds good. Let's send it out. Those things. So that's cool. But